Hey guys, it's Bear with the Camping Camper. We're here today at Bandy Creek, which is a campground in a recreation area that's part of the Big South Fork National River and Recreation Area. This is in Oneida, Tennessee. It's about as far up as you can go without getting into Kentucky here in East Tennessee. East Middle Tennessee is kind of on the border right there. And sometimes, I know I didn't notice it this much this time because I didn't really keep track of it. But I know last time when we went to the horse camp, our phones kind of got confused and kept switching between Central and Eastern time because we're usually on Eastern. So that's just one thing to keep in mind when you come up here. This is a national area, so it is reserved through recreation.gov, and you do get 50% off if you have an America the Beautiful pass. And we have a video about those passes up here. The only ones that do give you 50% off is the handicap pass, also known as the excess pass, and the senior pass though. So that's an important update that I need to go back and put in that video. But 50% off, 50% off. So let's start with some amenities around the area here. So obviously you have the river. Now I will say that one thing about this area in general is they don't do a really good job at saying, hey, this is here, hey, this is here, hey, this is here. I will tell you that there's over 200 miles of horse trails in this area, which is why it's very popular with people that have horses. And like I said before, the campground that we went to before, Station Camp, it is a horse camp. This is not a horse camp, but you still see a lot of horse trailers around here. And that's because while horses aren't allowed in the campground, they do have stable areas for the horses so you can get them taken care of down there. It's at the stables and the camp store. It's across the street from the main loops here. And I believe I had read that it's $15 a night to keep your horse in a stable and $10 a night at this time to keep it out in the open over there. They do have a pool here. It's supposed to open this weekend. I did see a couple of people up there today, but it's been down in the 50s most of the weekend here on Memorial Day weekend. And so they did put that off for a couple of days till it warmed up today. There's also a visitor center over between the campground and the stables. And the visitor center, it has a traditional, they call it a bookstore, but it's the traditional camp store that has all the stuff you're usually going to find at the national park areas, like the magnets and the t-shirts and all that stuff. It's going to be in there. One thing that I found really interesting about that area, because a lot of people ride bikes here too, is that they actually had a pole there. And it took me a second to like figure it out, but they have a pole over there and it's got a couple of horizontal bars. But basically you can take your bicycle, you can hang it on the bars there. There's an air pump built into the pole. It is a hand pump, but you can pump you some air in your tires if you need to. But they actually had tools, your most common bicycle tools, screwdrivers, Allen wrenches, all that kind of stuff, on a chain that was attached to that pole. So there were always tools there if you needed to use some tools for your bicycle. That gets a thumbs up. There are also a lot of hiking trails in the area on top of the horse trail. Some of the horse trails are, you can hike and have horses or whatever. Some of the hiking trails don't allow horses. The recreation area here is kind of spread out quite a ways as well. And so what I want you to know about that is that you do have to go through the gorge to get here. And we'll go through all that in a little bit. But I am going to kind of caution you on that right now. So I'm going to show you at the end just how bad it is in case you have issues with driving and want to avoid it. And I'll tell you how to do that then. But, right now while I'm talking, I'm going to overlay some footage of actually coming through the gorge. There's some hairpin turns there. There's a lot of grade. It says 13% grade coming through there. And so if you're not completely in sync with your ability to drive through this, then drive through Jamestown and come that way. There's going to be an area there at the river where you can swim. There's old bridge that's mostly tore down that's still kind of hanging there. That's kind of cool, and take pictures and stuff like that. There's a trail down through there. That's where Angel Falls is. I had another video about when we went to see Angel Falls with some friends, so I'll put that up here. But basically, there's just a lot of stuff to do here, but like I said, they don't do a good job at saying, hey, you need to go do this. Because we went to the East Rim Overlook, and you could drive right up there I did it because some friends did it. I also did go in the visitor center and I got some maps and stuff, but they're just like trail maps. Nothing says like, hey, for something easy, go do this. But we went up there and you could drive all the way to the end. And when you got to the end of the road there, then there was a trail. And there was a sign there with some trail maps on it. But still, you know, it was like all kinds of stuff there. And I'm not new at this. I've been hiking and stuff for a while. But I just didn't want to read through all the garbage there. Somebody told me that it wasn't too long of a hike. So I thought, well, we'll give it a try. And so we walked down to the overlook. And it was only about a quarter of a mile. But there was nothing there saying, hey, this is just a quarter of a mile. Because when you start walking, you kind of start going downhill. And with that, you're kind of wondering, what am I getting into here? Well, that is a paved, like, quarter of a mile trail. No problems there. Almost anybody can do it. They also have a couple of benches to rest at too. Then we went to an old bridge. I believe it's called the O&W Bridge. It was really nice. It's about a 5-mile drive or so down a gravel road. There was quite a few people down there, but it was a nice bridge over the river where you could go out and you could just kind of, you know, take some pictures, see the plateau on the sides there up around the river. Looked kind of like a little mini Grand Canyon or something. I've never been to the Grand Canyon. It's on our to-do list though. But that was a really nice area to hang out in. One of our friends that went down there yesterday said that they walked down, there's some steps there. They walked down to the bottom. I was feeling a little lazy, so I didn't do that. But on the pier there, I think the bridge has been replaced, but on the pier, when the pier was poured, it said that had a date of 1939 on there. So that's how old that's been there. And then, continuing our exploring, I went over to the Twin Arches and I did that trail. That trail is about 3/4 of a mile. It says 0.7 miles. And I knew that one was 0.7 miles because I had that marked, but I didn't know that it was going to be the butt kicker that it was at 0.7 miles. You know, I used to go backpacking quite a lot. I mean, I'm not in the best shape right now, I'll admit that. But that trail is 3/4 of a mile and it's almost like straight down. So when you get back and you're coming back, it's like 3/4 of a mile uphill, which was a butt kicker for me, at least. You'd probably be like, oh, I ran that in 20 seconds. Let's talk about cell service. Cell service is 2 bars. I've told you before, 2 bars might mean you can use it and 2 bars might mean you can't. Well, I've noticed that at night when everybody goes to sleep in the campground, because it's been full because it's Memorial Day weekend until today, it's Monday, so a lot of people left today. But after everybody goes to bed, I have usable internet service. During the day when everybody's up and everybody's trying to get on their phones, I ain't got squat. So it's going to solely depend on how many people are here in the park, at least for my Verizon service. Generalized campground information. So they do have some bathhouses here. They are fairly new and they are updated quite a bit. They have automatic sinks in there. They have some strange toilets that say they're waterless pretty much, with plaques that talk about how they save 40,000 gallons of water per urinal per year. But they're a little strange. I say they're a little strange, and I'm sure I think it's because of, I guess it's got to do with some geothermal stuff they're trying to work in, but it's a block structure inside of the building. And so on some of the buildings you can tell, like there's windows on the back of them. Like the main one when you come into D-Loop has windows there, and the entrance to the bathroom's actually on the back side. Well, you can see the block structure inside there and all these windows, and the building actually is a little bit taller than this. I don't know. All I can figure is it's supposed to have some kind of geothermal effect. You know the answer? If you know the answer, why don't you tell me down here in the comments? Now, as far as the bathrooms go, you know, I would say they're nice. They're not like high-end, ultra luxury tile or anything, but they're made out of materials that'll last a long time, and they're clean, and they are fairly new, even though some of the tile color choices kind of look mid-70s, just saying. But they're nice bathhouses. So then we talked about the pool already. By the pool, there is a playground that's rather large and a volleyball court. One thing that I do want to mention is they're really strict about putting your food up here, a little more strict than most places. And by saying that, I'm going to tell you that we had a neighbor here, and when the neighbor went back to their camper, they saw a sign basically holding their cooler for ransom. So they took their cooler, the rangers took their cooler to the impound shed. Never heard of anything being impounded at a campground, but it happens here at Bandy Creek. And it was only drinks and stuff, they said, but I guess the rule is you can't have any coolers out. They do have, you know, lockers to put your food and stuff in on your campgrounds, as well as, you know, in your RV's fine. I think they even told that guy that he could put it in the back of his truck, but I'm not real sure about that. But it's not me. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you. We also had some neighbors down here that left their food out. They got it put up for them, I believe. I'm not sure what all happened over there. I was trying to like, it happens. Put your food up. In most cases, I believe that if it's in a cooler, it's considered put up, but apparently that's not the case here. It doesn't even matter if there's drinks in it and no food. You can't leave your cooler out. Just know that. And by the way, apparently the impound shed, the first offense is a warning, and then I believe there's fees involved. I don't know anything about that though. All right, there's multiple different loops in this campground. They're labeled A through F. I'm going to tell you that A and F are both mainly for tent camping. There's no electrical hookups. F, I believe, says group camp, but it looked the same as A as far as the different sites and how they were laid out. There's no power at them. I did see one short trailer and a couple of pop-ups over in A loop. And so it's not that they tell you you can't have campers up there, but they're really small and there's no hookups up there. I would say that D loop's going to be considered their main loop here because it is like the largest. The campsites are going to be very similar at B, C, and D loops. They're going to be power sites with water available, no sewer anywhere here. I will say that a lot of the campsites, some of them aren't the case, but a lot of them are spread out pretty decently where you have your own amount of space. This is a national park area, so as with that, a lot of those sites are very short. Some of them are short, a lot of them are pretty unlevel. So those are the two main things that you're going to want to keep an eye on whenever you pick a site here. But as usual, I'm going to give you the sites that I would pick if I stayed here, which seem to be some that are decently long, but you're going to want to really check those dimensions, as well as decently flat. I will say that in the shorter sites, where there's shorter sites, there does seem to be plenty of extra parking, like around the bathhouse and stuff. And I thought I might get in trouble for parking my truck at the bathhouse, but I didn't. Nobody said anything about it, and apparently that's totally acceptable. Okay, so let's talk about the sites that I would prefer here. I'm going to say D44, D33, C32, D18, D24, D46, D12, C21, C27, C23, D48, D14, D50, D40, and D39. Now those two are on a loop, so they're pretty close together. If you're going to come with a friend and your guys are going to come together, I would suggest doing that little loop area because it's going to be great for you. If you're not camping with somebody and you got the one in the back, that might cause you some problems, like unhooking your truck if you got a truck to unhook, that kind of stuff. Also C8, D8, B8, B7, and B6. Okay guys, so that's going to do it for our video here. But before we go, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, and I'm going to show you how bad the road is coming in here from Oneida. That way you know for sure. There's only about a 2 or 3 mile section of road that's a real problem, but it could potentially be a problem, especially if your camper's longer. Mine's about 30 foot long. I almost touched my bed rail to the bottom of my camper a couple of times. You know, I've talked about that with my soft topper before, but it never made contact and it was fine. But there are some pretty steep grades that you're going to do if you're going to come through there. Like I say, the grade is 13% in some places. So I'm going to show you the video of going 3/4 of the way through this. Some of it is speeded up, and that way we can get past most of the more straight, boring areas and stay looking slowly in real time at these areas that may cause you issues. This may also cause you to be car sick, so I want you to be cognizant about that, because I got a dash cam. This is real time driving through here. It's real curvy. If you're really apt to get sick, you might not want to watch this, and you might just want to come from the Jamestown side, because there's only 1 or 2 little grade areas that are going to be an issue coming from that way. It's just a little curvy road all the way in, but it's nowhere near the road coming from Oneida.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.